I never thought I'd find myself in this kind of situation, questioning whether I was in the wrong for protecting my own home and peace of mind. But here I am, feeling torn between standing my ground and the pressure my family is putting on me. I'm 20 years old and have been living on my own for the past 2 years. It hasn't always been easy, but I've managed to make things work. When I first moved out, my dad gave me his old car to help me get around. It wasn't anything fancy, covered in dents and scratches, constantly needing repairs, but it was mine. The only condition was that I had to cover the insurance and any fixes it needed. Over time, I put so much effort into keeping it running that it felt like a part of me, my little lifeline in this world. Then last week, my older sister Anna called me out of the blue. She's 21 and we've never been particularly close. We've had our fair share of arguments and she's always had a way of putting herself first, but when she told me she had just broken up with her boyfriend and had nowhere to go, I couldn't ignore her. Family is family, right? Even though I had my reservations, I told her she could stay with me temporarily until she got back on her feet. 2 days later, everything blew up in a way I never saw coming. I was at work when I got a call from the police. They told me my car had been reported as stolen. My heart dropped. Stolen? Oh. It was parked outside my apartment that morning. I rushed home, panicked and confused, only to find out the truth. Anna had called the cops on me. Apparently, before going to the police, she had called my dad, trying to guilt-trip him into taking the car back so she could have it. When that didn't work, she decided to take things further and reported it as stolen. I was in complete shock. I couldn't believe that my own sister would go that far, just because she wanted my car. Thankfully, my dad backed me up and explained the situation to the police, clearing everything up before it escalated any further. But that didn't change the fact that I had been put in a terrifying, humiliating position because of my own sister's selfishness. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to deny it. She admitted she had called the cops but brushed it off as if it wasn't a big deal. According to her, she just wanted to teach me a lesson about sharing. A lesson about sharing? She had nearly put me in legal trouble just to prove a point. I was furious. There was no way I could let her move in after something like that. Someone who was willing to lie to the police and throw me under the bus just to get what she wanted was not someone I could trust in my home. But Anna didn't take no for an answer. She started blowing up my phone, calling me selfish and immature. Then she got some of our family members involved, and now they're all telling me I need to be the bigger person because she's going through a tough time. I get that she's struggling. I get that breakups are hard. But does that excuse what she did? She didn't just inconvenience me, she betrayed me. She put me in a position where I could have faced serious consequences, just because she wanted my car. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should just forgive and forget like my family keeps insisting. But then I think about how angry and hurt I feel, how much she disrespected me, and I can't see how letting her move in would be anything but a terrible mistake. She's already shown that she has no problem crossing lines to get what she wants. What's stopping her from doing something even worse once she's under my roof? My friends all agree, Anna crossed a major line and I have every right to refuse her. But the guilt is still there, nagging at me. I don't want to be the kind of person who holds grudges, but I also don't want to be a doormat. For now, I'm standing by my decision. Anna is not moving in with me. I refuse to let her guilt or manipulate me into making a choice that could put me at risk. But even as I hold my ground, the doubt lingers. Am I being too unforgiving? Am I letting my anger cloud my judgment? Or am I simply protecting myself from someone who has already shown she doesn't respect me or my boundaries? I don't think I'm in the wrong. But maybe, just maybe, I'm missing something. I never imagined I'd be in this position, constantly questioning whether I'm wrong for protecting my own boundaries. But lately, it feels like every decision I make is met with criticism, betrayal, or pressure from the people who should be supporting me the most. A few months ago, I had finally built up a small emergency fund, $2000 tucked away in a separate account, untouched, because I knew how important it was to have a financial safety net. Life is unpredictable and I wanted to be prepared. My boyfriend, Jake, who's 23, had been struggling since losing his job. I had been there for him in every way I could, covering groceries, helping with gas money, and offering emotional support whenever he needed it. But last week, something happened that completely shattered my trust in him. Jake's car broke down, and the repair bill was $1,500. He was stressed, understandably so. He didn't have much savings, and without a car, his job search would be even harder. When he told me about the bill, I sympathized with him, but I also knew I couldn't afford to help. I suggested he reach out to his family or work out a payment plan with the mechanic. I thought that was the end of the conversation. Then, a few days later, I checked my emergency savings account. My heart sank. $1,500 was gone. I frantically checked my transaction history, and there it was. Jake had transferred the money to his own account. I was in shock. He hadn't asked. He hadn't even mentioned it. He had just taken it. When I confronted him, he didn't try to deny it. Instead, he acted as if it was completely reasonable. He told me that we're a team, that I wasn't using the money anyway, and that he'd pay me back once he got a job. But that wasn't the point. The point was that he had taken my money, my emergency fund, without my knowledge or consent. He didn't respect me enough to have a conversation about it. He just decided he was entitled to it. I told him how hurt and betrayed I felt, but instead of apologizing, he turned it around on me. He called me selfish. He said I wasn't supporting him when he needed me most, as if my only role in this relationship was to sacrifice for him without question. Somehow, I was the one being unreasonable for being upset. Now he's angry that I'm demanding the money back. He says I'm being too harsh, that I should be more understanding of his situation. A few of our mutual friends have even taken his side, telling me I'm overreacting and that I should just let it go because he's having a tough time. But what about me? What about the fact that I worked hard for that money? That I set it aside to protect myself, not to be an ATM for someone who didn't respect my boundaries? I've always tried to be there for Jake. I've supported him in every way I could. But this feels different. This isn't about me being unwilling to help. It's about him taking advantage of me. He didn't ask. He didn't even tell me. He just took it and expected me to be okay with it. I keep going back and forth, wondering if I should give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just desperate. Maybe he really does plan to pay me back. But another part of me can't ignore what this really is, a massive red flag. If he's willing to take my money without asking, what else is he willing to do? How can I trust him after this? Every time I try to talk to him about it, he deflects. He tells me I should be more understanding. But what about my feelings? What about the fact that I feel completely betrayed? It's not just about the money. It's about the principle. He violated my trust, and that's not something I can just brush off. I don't know what to do. I love Jake, but I don't know if I can move past this. Every time I think about it, I feel angry and hurt all over again. I don't want to throw away our relationship, but I also don't want to be with someone who doesn't respect me or my boundaries. And it's not just Jake. Lately, it feels like every part of my life is filled with people who expect me to put my needs aside for them. My family is another example. I'm 21 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the problem child. No matter what I do, it's never enough. My older sibling, 26, is the golden child, the straight-A student, the one with the great job, the one who got married young and is living the life my parents always dreamed of for their kids. Then there's me. I'm in college, working part-time, trying to figure things out, and somehow that's a disappointment. Every family dinner turns into an interrogation. They ask me when I'm going to get my life together, why I can't be more like my sibling. Meanwhile, my sibling gets praised for the most mundane things like breathing. It's exhausting. Last week at dinner, my mom looked me straight in the eye and said, "It's just so disappointing that you're not living up to your potential." I tried to laugh it off like I always do. But this time it hit differently. Then my dad added, "Maybe if you spent less time on your phone and more time thinking about your future, you'd get somewhere." I snapped. I told them I was doing my best. That life is hard enough without feeling like a failure every time I sit down at the dinner table. My mom just rolled her eyes and said, "We're only hard on you because we care. But if this is what caring looks like, why does it feel so awful?" I told them I was done coming to family dinners if all they were going to do was use me as their personal punching bag. I just wanted to enjoy a meal with my family without feeling like a disappointment. Was that really too much to ask? Now they're acting like I'm the dramatic one. My sibling even texted me, saying I'm making things awkward and that I should just let it go because they're just trying to help. But comparing me to my sibling, belittling my efforts, and making me feel like a failure isn't helping. It's crushing. I've thought a lot about why this bothers me so much. I know my parents love me. I know they want what's best for me. But the way they express it is toxic. They have this idea of who I should be, and anything that doesn't fit that mold is a failure. They don't see my effort, my progress. They just see what I haven't achieved yet. I'm in college. I'm working. I'm trying. Isn't that enough? I don't know if I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I should just keep going to the dinners and ignore the comments. But part of me feels like I need to set boundaries. I can't keep putting myself in situations where I feel like I'm constantly being measured against my sibling and coming up short. I've tried talking to them about how their words make me feel, but it always turns into them defending themselves. They say they're just trying to motivate me. But it doesn't feel like motivation. It feels like pressure. It feels like I'll never be enough for them. I don't know what to do. I love my family, but I don't know if I can keep putting myself in situations where I feel so judged and unappreciated. I just want to be supported for who I am, not who they think I should be. So here I am, wondering if I'm the one in the wrong. Wondering if I'm overreacting. Wondering if I should just let it go. But deep down, I know I deserve respect. I deserve trust. And I deserve to be loved for who I am, not just for who people expect me to be.